Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Offside Opinions Podcast. This is episode 14. I'm Ashray Neotia.
And I'm Levi Naw.
And we'll jump right in with the draft. Well, not actually the draft grades, but the free agency signings, the new ones.
Not a lot, but...
Not a lot, right? We realize we haven't posted in, what's it's been? March 17th, so whatever that is.
2 months.
2 months. We're supposed to go monthly. Yeah, we were waiting for the draft, end of April. Long story short. But the free agency signings. First one. We'll start off with a relatively not too exciting one. Jameis Winston to the Giants.
I like it. I think hinting at the next one, Russell Wilson being probably their starting quarterback for this year, I think he'll make a great backup. But, yeah, I give it like a B-.
Yeah, I'd agree. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, right? We haven't got to the draft yet. We'll get to the draft when we get there.
Yeah.
Trust me. But I don't think the Giants are set up for success with their QB room right now. If we were talking about this when this actually happened, I don't think they'd be set up for success. Because Jameis Winston's the type of guy who has ultimate confidence. He's not going to care. He's going to throw that ball 4 picks, 4 interceptions. You still have a shot of winning the game, though. Russell Wilson, much more timid player. He's not planning to actually do that. He'll look for the best throw. He'll take his time in the pocket, but he will also take the sacks, which for the Giants is not good because they don't really have that good of an O-line.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree with Levi. I think B- works perfectly for this. What I think is interesting is how the dynamics are going to work out between all the Giants QBs and, likewise, all the Browns QBs. And the Browns are the funniest thing of all time to do because they have to sign Justin Tucker, who got dropped by the Ravens.
Yep, that's our next update.
So, Justin Tucker dropped. What do you think about that?
Well, the Ravens drafted a kicker, so I love this decision. They're going to have actually a chance to make some field goals and extra points now. And, yeah, he's both in terms of, team culture and, the news that he's been, getting associated with the team, as well as just not being a good kicker. He needed to be dropped.
I bet all those Baltimore massages houses kind of push for this. But beside the point, yeah, Justin Tucker deserves to be dropped. Not a lot of ways to say it. Especially after considering last season's debacle of just him missing field goal after field goal. I really agree with this move. I would give it a solid A- in that area because they also drafted a kicker, like you said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this move a lot. Now, according to me, the most important moves of the free agency that we haven't covered so far was Stephon Diggs to the Patriots. What do you think about this?
I like it a lot. I'm going to give this one an A. My only problem with it is now, he's the literal only receiver they have to throw the ball to. So the problem is going to be, he's a good receiver for them to pick up, but they have to have somewhere else to throw the ball because it's Stephon Diggs. He's old, and he doesn't even want that many targets anymore. So I think that's going to be the biggest problem. So maybe A-, B+.
I agree with everything you said, except for the fact that Diggs doesn't want as much targets anymore. I disagree with that. Diggs, at his core, is somebody who wants a lot of targets. And for that reason, I'd love to sign him by the Patriots. Because he's the wide receiver one there. He has zero excuse to leave, apart from the fact that the team is not good. And if that's the case, we're just going to call Diggs Kevin Durant of the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why Diggs ever leaves, because they're bad. So, yeah, I love the sign by the Patriots because not only could this reveal Diggs' true nature, but this also is a perfect fit for Diggs because it's he gets all the targets he wants. So, next, draft grades. So we're just going to go in order of how the teams picked. Of course, there were trades and stuff like that. We're just ignoring that. We're just going to go, if it was baseline, just they had to draft what position they had originally based off that. So first team, first pick, Titans. So overall draft grade, we gave them an A.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for their drafts. Yes, here. Picks. So they got a QB, they got a couple wide receivers, a couple defensive players, a couple running backs. They kind of went everywhere. And I really like this because they had needs at basically every
Yeah, they
position.
need every position basically.
So for that reason, I think they have a high chance of everything panning out, or most things at least panning out, because of their like overall kind of go get everything type mentality here. Now, of course, this could backfire. Nobody works out.
Yeah.
But we'll lean towards optimism and give them an A.
Yeah, I think in terms of like filling all their needs, they definitely deserve an A. But it's Cam Ward very well could go poorly. We'll see.
The Cleveland Browns. For Cleveland, I was a bit harsh on them. Levi might disagree. I gave them an F.
Yeah, I would say that is a bit harsh, especially considering Mason Graham. You got to at least give him a C for that.
And
at least.
I gave him an F because of their QB room, mostly after the draft.
That's
I
fair.
mean,
That's
you
fair.
drafted 2 QBs, right? Dylan Gabriel and Shadir Sanders. On top of that, you have Mr. Retirement himself, Joe Flacco. Then you have Mr. Gloves, Kenny Pickett. And was there one
Of course,
more?
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I forgot about the masseuse himself, Deshaun Watson. But with all of that, looking at all of that QBs, all of those QBs in this QB room, I don't think they're planning out for success at all this season. Yes, the Mason Graham draft was awesome. I like that pick a lot. The rest of it's a little bit weird, I would think. I mean, they drafted a running back in the second round. I don't know if he was a running back they should have gone to get. Of course, they drafted another running back later in round 4. I don't like that. I really don't think you should double up at positions unless it's like
Especially running back, yeah.
Yeah, especially unless it's like clearly obvious that these 2 players are literally the best players left in the draft. So yeah, for this reason, I'm giving them an F. He is.
Yeah, I'll say a C plus just because I really like Mason Graham getting
He
drafted.
can be as lenient as he wants. I hate this QB. I hate it. I'm not going to mince my words. The Giants. Well, if you want to talk about a team that I think might actually have a sneaky chance of succeeding this year, it is the Giants, actually. The Giants, I gave an A.
I would not be that generous, but I think they deserve at least a B minus because their defense is, especially their defensive line, is looking crazy for this season.
Like,
so,
first pick, third pick, first round, Abdul Carter. Then they go out, they get a QB, Jackson Dart. That's a question.
I'm a little bit iffy on that.
I think they reached for Jackson Dart. Would they have gotten Jackson Dart later on? Maybe not. But this was definitely a reach. Definitely a reach.
If you want a young quarterback for your future, I think they should have waited till next year.
But they did go out and get Cam Scatterbo. I mean, there's a lot in the news about him. He was a workhorse running back. This might pan out. I'm not saying it won't. But Cam Scatterbo in the round 4, I think, was a steal, honestly. The rest of it, they got an offensive lineman, a couple defensive players, tight end. So, yeah, I think overall they've addressed some issues that they had. I give them an A for that. Also, it's not as bad as a debacle as it was last year for them. They did not have a good year at all, and most of that was pitting the GM and the owner. I think this year they actually might have a chance of succeeding.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a bounce back year.
Next team, the Patriots. So the New England Patriots, I gave a B+. They drafted an offensive lineman. They got a running back. They got some wide receivers, got some centers. They had a lot of picks. Jesus. 1, 2,
They had
3,
way
4,
too many
5,
picks.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks. Yeah.
It's hard to go wrong with 11 picks.
Yeah, it is quite hard to go wrong with 11 picks. But yeah, overall I give a B+ for this. You have 11 picks. It's easy to address a lot of your issues. That's what they did.
I think they should have gone with more wide receivers. I think B+ is fair because of that. But other than that, it was a really good draft.
Yeah, because you got the offensive line kind of squared away a little bit. They drafted 2 of those guys. They got a lot of defensive players. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, they got like 5 or 6 defensive players in that area. They got 2 offensive linemen, a special teams player. They got a lot of people. but I think this will be helpful for them because now they have a young core. They'll be able to grow from there. Provided they're not stupid, they will be doing just fine in a few years, especially after the Mike Vrabel signing.
Mm-hmm.
Next team, the the London Jaguars.
Yeah, it is going to be the London Jaguars within a few years.
We'll get to there soon. Don't worry. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, I gave A- for them. Let's address the elephant in the room. Travis Hunter, right? They got the second pick. They drafted Travis Hunter. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I'm going to give just because of the way they're planning to use Travis Hunter, I'm going to give him a B-.
They addressed a lot of the defensive issues. They got, I think that's 4 defensive players, a couple linebackers, a couple of cornerbacks, a couple of safeties. They got a center. They got their offensive line kind of squared away. It's just the Travis Hunter pick is kind of weird. Plus, they got 2 running backs, which, again, as we talked about earlier, we don't agree with doing.
Yeah. And, I mean, people are saying Travis Hunter is the most exciting prospect in the draft, but I still don't like him at number 2 overall.
I don't think he's the most exciting prospect.
Yeah.
I think Ashton Genty's the most exciting.
That's what I would say, too. I think the only advantage to Travis Hunter is he's very versatile and flexible. And
he's good at 2 positions. He's not the best at either. But he's good at 2, which means that naturally people are going to be like, oh, yeah, cool, he's great at 2.
Yeah.
He's going to be really good.
But they're only planning to play him a receiver, and he's going to be sitting behind Brian Thomas, whereas their defense really needs help. So, I think they should have kept him playing both, and also...
I don't think it would be possible for both, just because...
It's completely possible. People keep saying that. J.J. Watt did it. It worked great. They should absolutely do it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a work ethic for that.
Dude, he did it in college.
But that's a shorter game.
Yeah, I don't know.
In an NFL game, imagine having to go against, I don't know, Derrick Henry on defense, and having to go against, I don't know, pick your pick of any good corner.
But you could say that just going, if you're playing one position in college, going up to one position in the NFL, your work ethic has to get better.
Well, no, it has to get better naturally, yes. But to do 2 positions to get exponentially. That's what
I guess.
But yeah, I think A- needs to be B-. Moving on. The Raiders. I like the Raiders draft, personally. I gave them an A.
Yeah.
I mean, the first pick, Ashton Genty, really like that. They, like the Patriots, had a crap ton of picks. 3, 6, 9. I think they also had 11 picks, if I'm not wrong. So, again, easy to address issues when you have 11 picks. But
I really like Zach Beck as a pick, too. People really are talking a lot about Ashton Genty, and I think that was still their best pick. But, yeah, Zach Beck will also be a major help to their offense.
You need Jack Beck. But
did I say Zach?
Yeah,
sorry.
Jack Beck. But, Ashton Genty, I will focus on Ashton Genty because I think he has, out of all the players in the draft, the highest possibility of succeeding. Mm-hmm. Especially with the team that he's been placed on, the Raiders. Next team is the Jets. Now, the Jets are in a weird position. Obviously because Aaron Rodgers left. Obviously because Devontae left. Obviously because their future is basically screwed.
Justin Fields, yeah.
So, they're in a bit of a weird position. But I gave them a B+. They got Armand Membu, I think
love
that's his name.
Love that.
Pick 7, offensive lineman. I love that. Why? Justin Fields has proved that when he has time to actually throw the ball, he can deliver a rather accurate ball. And this actually works perfectly for them. They also got a wide receiver, a tight end, some corners, some linebackers, safeties, edges. So they addressed the defense too, which I also like. For what they did and the amount of picks that they had, which wasn't a lot, they didn't really have any later round picks. They just kind of had they had 7 picks, so 1 for every round basically, except somewhere earlier. For what they had, I like their draft. I'm gonna give them a B+ for that.
Yeah, that's fair. They did not have a lot of picks.
The Panthers. The Panthers, I gave a B+ to. So as soon as I can get to their draft thingy up here, Carolina, there they are. So first pick, Tedero McMillan. That's a stretch.
Yeah, especially at number 8. It feels too early.
They did make up for it later with getting Trevor Etienne. I think Trevor Etienne will be pretty good pick.
Yeah, I think he's the best running back prospect behind Genty. So
yeah, like round 4 for Trevor Etienne, I think was great value.
Yeah,
phenomenal value.
steal.
I think that makes up for the Tyrell McMillan pick early. I see where they were going with that, trying to get Tyrell McMillan underneath Adam Thielen and underneath their other wide receivers who are like really good. But I just think it was a bit of a stretch. I think if they wanted McMillan, they should have traded a little bit back. But I do remember that in the mock draft, I think I had Tyrell actually going.
Oh, really?
So
my mock draft was terrible. I'm not even going to talk about it.
So yeah, I say B+ for this. Yeah. Should they have gotten a tight end, maybe like Colston Loveland, who we'll eventually get to? Yes. Maybe a defensive player like Jalon Walker? Yes. But for the Trevor Etienne, they made it up with him. I'll give him a B+ for that. Next up, the Saints. So New Orleans, I gave a B- to. Now, they're in a weird spot too. Okay, Derek Carr just retired.
Yeah,
We've got
what
to
are you
understand
gonna
the
do
free
with
agent
that?
stuff. I just remember that.
Yeah.
They kind of addressed that in round 2 by drafting a QB out of Louisville, Tyler Shaw.
But I don't even know if I would call that addressing it, because now their QB is their QB room is just a bunch of mid young dudes that like none of them really deserve a starting job.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, actually, that's probably the best bet at this point.
It's not saying a lot, but Tyler Shaw. I think this was a huge stretch. I don't like this. This is a reach.
Should not be in the second round at all.
Yeah. I know I might get clowned for this. Shadir Sanders was available at this time. Like, I don't care if you didn't want to deal with Dion or if you didn't want to pick him. I don't care. You don't pick Tyler Shaw round 2. I don't think it was worth it. But they didn't make up for it by drafting a crap ton of defensive players.
Yeah.
Like out of their 9 picks or 10 picks, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of their picks literally are just defense, and the rest of them are like a tight end who's probably not going to play a lot.
Nope.
Running back who's probably not going to play a lot. OT who round 1, Kelvin Banks. I like the pick. Do I think it's going to help him? Not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
B- I think is solid for this.
I'd give him like a C+, but yeah.
It's the same thing. C+, B-.
Okay.
Bears. For the Chicago Bears, I gave them a B-.
A lot of B minuses.
Yeah, I know. The B- is like the safety spot when you're like, is this team actually done well or not? I don't know, so there's going to be a B-.
It all depends on how the coaching situation turns out,
Yeah.
I think.
But the Chicago Bears, they had a lot of round 2 picks. They had 3 round 2 picks. Jeez. They
used
did
them
something
well.
with those 3 picks, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Shamar Turner, they got Luther Burden, they got Ozzie Trapilo. Do I think we need another wide receiver? No.
But
Did
it's,
they get one?
I mean, well, Keenan Allen's on his way out. I think it was smart.
It was smart, but at the same time, it's like Caleb Williams didn't really get everybody involved last season.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get them involved again this season. They upgraded that tight end position with Colston Loveland. Do I think that was necessary?
No.
Absolutely not.
Not even
But for the
close.
pick, did it make sense? Actually, kind of. Kind of weird to say that, but the position they were in, number 10, there wasn't really like that many good players left, but there also wasn't that many bad players
Yeah,
left.
like getting Genty in that spot was like a big stretch, but that was really the only other like early
he went
first round
pick
player
6.
that was a good pick for them. So.
Yeah, and he went pick 6.
Yeah.
So like the rest of the players, the defensive players, might have been a little bit of a stretch to get him there.
Yeah.
For the Bears, it makes sense.
I think I would have liked to see a defensive lineman there instead, but
But like a defensive lineman went early,
yeah.
kind of. But yeah, for their overall draft, whatever I said earlier.
Yeah, B+.
Yeah, a B-.
Or B-, yeah.
Yeah, B-, I think is fair. 49ers, the self-combustion of a team.
Yeah.
I had them getting a B+. So let's look at who they drafted. If I can ever find a team, I will.
You just went past it.
There. Yeah. Okay. They also had a lot of picks. Jeez, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. They also had 11 picks.
Yeah.
They got a lot of defensive players.
Yeah, I think in terms of defense, it's an easy like A plus for me. But
yeah, but off of the side of the ball, they paid Brock Purdy, and then
way too much.
Well, you say it's way too much.
It is. He's a system quarterback.
I'm not saying he's not a system QB. I just think he's better than the alternative. They got some offensive linemen. Cool. They got 2 wide receivers. I don't think those are necessary. They got a QB. Round 7, pick 227. Not too far off from Mr. Relevant. But, yeah, I don't know if they should have gone a QB.
Yeah, that
I mean,
was
it makes
kind of
sense,
odd.
but maybe not. I think the biggest thing for the 49ers is to see whether or not CMC is going to play. Because if he plays, I feel like it's going to be a different story. But, yeah, we will see with that later. The Cowboys. I gave the Cowboys a D. I think that's very harsh, I know. But I don't like a lot of their picks at all. Because the issues with their team so far, right, is Dak Prescott. And even more glaring than that is Jerry Jones. And then plus defensively, they had a lot of injuries last year, but I also didn't see like Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs and that kind of side where I could try that.
They're just losing morale, yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, they have a home field disadvantage. So...
Wait, who did they get? George Pickens? Was that the Cowboys? We missed that in the free agent signings, but I'm pretty sure the Cowboys got George Pickens, which could change things. But
I think they might have. Yes, they did get George Pickens.
yeah,
That doesn't change anything.
dude, he's gonna be crazy at receiver too.
He's just gonna A, crash out, and then B, Dak
Well,
Prescott's gonna
that's a
throw
given.
the ball. C, the next thing you know, Dak Prescott's gonna be in the locker room fighting for his life. So no, it's probably not gonna be that good.
He's probably gonna end up getting more targets than he deserves just because of CD's injuries lately. But
Yeah. I mean, they got a running back. They got 2 running backs, so that's already a red flag for me.
yeah, especially considering the running back room is like awful right now. They're just adding.
They got some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen. They got everything they needed, so it feels like it should be like an A minus in that area, B plus. I just don't like the picks. They were also picking at a weird spot too, like in number 12, because it felt like from number 10 to number 50, anybody who you pick would have been okay to pick, kinda, a little bit. Maybe like number pick 20 onwards, but like even like the pick 10 to 20 felt kind of like all the same type of players, just like who fit the best.
Yeah.
I don't think an offensive lineman fit the best for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But it's Jerry Jones. What do we expect? Jerry's going to do what Jerry's going to do. Miami Dolphins. I gave them a B+. I especially like their defensive lineman signing, Kenneth Grant. It didn't seem like they had that strong of a defensive presence last year.
Yeah.
And so them getting 3 defensive linemen plus a safety plus a corner,
Yeah.
I think is absolutely awesome.
That fills their biggest needs. I feel like they're not going anywhere this year, even with all their needs being filled theoretically. Tua's just going to keep going downhill, and their offense is not going anywhere either.
They got an offensive lineman, okay? And then they got this running back. Their biggest glaring issue, on offense at least, is not having a running back who can be like that big, strong Derrick Henry type guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ollie Gordon II is it, though, for that. I don't know. I don't know if he's an elusive back or what. I haven't done a lot of research into him. But I know for sure that their team could be good, but they're not getting past the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's what my take on that is. The Colts. I give the Colts an A. What would you give them?
Yeah, I think an A is fair. It's just they're like the Dolphins. Their success this year is going to be determined by how their quarterback room ends up. They filled the needs like the Dolphins did, but whether that's actually going to fix their team is really doubtful at this point.
Yeah, they got their tight end, Tyler Warren. It's just the QB issue with Anthony Richardson. They addressed that with Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, but Riley Leonard didn't really look that good.
Yeah.
Especially in the championship game, like the high pressure game. And
I think another huge problem is they didn't draft a single receiver, and that was a big hole.
You can't rely on Washington. He's too in and out for that.
Yeah.
You can't rely on him. But we'll see what they do. I think overall an A is okay, but we'll see. Falcons, we gave them a B. They got a lot of defensive players. Okay, a lot of secondary.
Maybe too many. I think that's why a B is fair. Might have been overkill on the defensive line, but
I think them getting cooked by the Vikings really struck a chord. Also, to that Falcons guy who prank called Shadir, you're a bad person. Remember that. But anyways, I don't like the Falcons' chances this year at all. I'll just say it. I mean, I don't know what they're planning to do offensively. Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins, we'll see. The Cardinals, B+. They drafted a lot of defensive players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just fixing their defense merits at least a B, yeah.
The Bengals, A-. So they got a lot of defensive players again. But they're kind of in a hole with the salary.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why their season is a boom or a bust, but it just depends on that salary. Seahawks, A-. So Seattle did fairly decent in the draft, I think.
They really fixed their offensive line pretty well, which is going to be critical.
Fixed their O-line, plus they got a wide receiver, plus they got another QB in Jalen Milroe. It's a great team. It looks like a good team on paper. But it ain't going to stop them from
There's
the
that Rams fan.
The Bucks, B+. If I had to pick two teams who I think are sneak Super Bowl contenders, it's the Bucks and it's the Commanders.
Yeah.
I know they're both from the NFC. Okay. Oh, they can't be the Super Bowl teams. Yeah, I understand that. But they're both equally as capable, I believe, of getting to that point. I think last year the Bucks kind of screwed up at the end, especially Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to address that this season. I really like the Bucks' chances.
Yeah.
They didn't really have a lot of picks though. They had 6 picks. So in those 6 picks, they really addressed the defense with 4 defensive players and 2 offensive. I think they have a shot. I just don't think it's. I think it might be this year. It's a sleeper pick, but if not this year, then maybe next year.
Yeah.
The Broncos. I gave the Broncos a B-. I know the Broncos had some glaring holes, especially at the running back position.
Yeah.
They did address that in round 2. They got a running back. Their round 1 pick was a corner. I mean, who better than Pat Surtain to train under?
Yeah,
right?
as well as they got a bunch of defensive linemen and stuff. I think their defense is going to be. I mean, it was already good last year. It's going to be.
It's just going to be better this year.
Yeah.
The Steelers, 98 incoming anyways. It doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna give them an A for it.
Yeah.
We should just stop grading the Steelers because every time it's just going to be 9-8 and then go to the playoffs, get eliminated, and be okay.
Yeah.
They got a lot of defensive players. They got a QB. They got
I mean, they filled the Steelers, stereotype where they're just going all out on the defense, going to make the first round, and then getting knocked out. So.
Yeah, I think that's good enough. Yeah. The Chargers. I gave the Chargers a A-. The most glaring hole for the Chargers is probably. I have to think now.
I'd say running back, but.
You would say running back. I would say not really the running, but the defense, because they didn't have any edge rushers. I mean, Joey Bosa.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I would say really the defense, but they addressed the running back position round 1. They got a running back. They addressed the edge position or the defensive lineman position round 3, 4, and a little bit onwards from there. I think the Chargers are in a good place. I think they're a solid playoff contender, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
The Packers. I give the Packers an A-.
First time drafting a receiver in round 1 since 2002.
Yeah, the Packers, they had an unlucky year last year. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
If injuries derailed them, right? I mean, Jordan Love went out, things kind of went downhill.
Especially just all the receivers being mid, and they pretty much fixed it.
I don't know if Matthew Golden fits the star receiver prototype.
I think he might.
But they did draft 2 or 3 wide receivers. I think they'll be okay. They drafted some defensive players. I like their position. I think they're, again, playoff contenders, not really too far in.
Yeah.
The Vikings. I didn't let him grade this one. You say A+.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not gonna say A+. I'm gonna say B-. You gave him a B. I'm giving him a B-. We should not have drafted a lineman first pick.
Okay, fine. For 5 picks, though, what you did, I think was okay.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, offensive lineman first pick, is it bad? Yes, but after what happens to Sam Darnold, I understand the fear.
The fear is definitely there, yeah.
They just got unlucky. They didn't really have a lot of good picks. For what they had, a B, I think, is solid. The Texans, their biggest line, I just said it. Their biggest hole was the offensive line.
Couldn't contain himself.
So I said an A-. They didn't really address the offensive line too much, though. They got an offensive lineman in round 2, but they really got 2 wide receivers, a couple corners, a couple running backs. Yeah, they didn't really address the issue, but at the same time, they added the offensive lineman who's going to be able to hold the anchor down.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the good linemen had been taken by that point because the Texans didn't have a first-round pick, so I think with what they had to work with, it was a decent draft.
I agree. Hence the A-. The Rams. I gave the Rams a B+. 6 picks, not a round 1 pick because we traded out of it. We got next year's round 1 from the Falcons, though. That was good. We had a hole kind of at the tight end position, you could say. I mean, Tyler Higbee's old. He's like 29, 30 years old.
Yeah.
So drafting a tight end first pick makes kind of a little sense. We didn't really address our QB of the future, though, which makes sense. I mean, it's a shallow QB draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked how you guys did this draft. I think an A is merited because of trading down and then saving the QB for next year is really smart, I think.
Did we really need a running back? Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know
I don't know
Darko's
what
Hunter
the
draft, but
logic was behind that.
I trust Les Snead, our D line, our GM. Shout out Chris Paul Jr., linebacker. I don't know any relation to Chris Paul there, but if he does, then we'll have a really good player for the next 2 years. The Ravens. I gave the Ravens a B. Their hole was making sure Mark Andrews could catch the ball. But
kind of hard way to fill that. Not really a way to fill that.
But they did have a lot of picks.
Another safety, though. That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, they had like 11 picks again. I don't know why. Like 3 teams have 11 picks in the draft for some reason. But they did get their kicker, Josh Tucker. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Safety, edge. They really tried to address the defense a lot.
Yeah.
Which I like because a lot of their defense last year did get injured.
I think the offensive line should have been more of a focus, though.
It's Lamar. You don't need an O-line.
If they also have Derrick Henry. I mean,
Yeah,
only for
but
one
he
more
can
year, I
steamroll
guess.
people.
But
He can steamroll people. It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Detroit. The frauds. Anyways, they're not going to make the Super Bowl this year. I'm telling you that. That's the first thing. Second thing, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs again. I'm telling you that again. Jared Goff is a fraud. I'm telling you that again.
Preach.
So, they did try to address the offensive line a lot. It won't matter. Jared Goff will still throw picks. I promise you.
Preach.
They tried to get 2 more wide receivers. Again, does not matter. Jared Goff will not use them. They tried to get some defensive players. Will not matter. Jared Goff will sell you. I am telling you.
Are you getting
Jared
the
Goff will
message?
sell me.
Jared Goff is the problem. They didn't
Jared
fix
Goff
it.
is the worst QB that the Lions could have gone for, and yet they did it. They didn't build around Stafford for 11 years. Stafford comes to the Rams, he instantly wins the Super Bowl. That case closed, finished, finale, toodle, done. That's the Lions. Moving on. The Commanders. This is my other sneak pick for winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, that one is much more realistic. I think the Buccaneers aren't going to get there, but
For having 5 picks, I give them a B. They got an offensive lineman.
I like
Okay,
it.
cool. They then went out, got some corners, got a corner, got a linebacker. I like both of those. They needed those.
I think the main thing is like where are the defensive linemen? They needed like an edge rusher here.
They did. I agree with you. But all the good edge rushers were taken in the beginning of the draft.
Yeah.
So really them kind of just going for the secondary and hoping the secondary can stop the pursuit. I like that strategy. Might not pan out probably, but we'll see. The Buffalo Bills. I give the Bills a B+. Not a lot of ways to say it. Their biggest hole is really trying to get past Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if they're ever going to find a player who can do it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
They better this year. They better.
Every year it's like they get to that finish line and they just can't cross it.
Yeah.
But they went out and they tried to fix their defense. Like, I'm looking at it right now, more than half the picks were straight defensive players, which I like. I think that was merited. The defense, the saying's right, defense wins championships. That's what they're going after, their defense, because they already have phenomenal offense.
Mm-hmm. I love the first 5 picks being defense. I really like that, but the rest of the draft, I mean, they didn't pick a wide receiver until round 7. I think they should have picked one in round 5.
That was what I was going to actually get to next, is the wide receiver. As good as Khalil Shakir is, as good as their other people are, you need to have a clearly defined wide receiver 1.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been Devontae. They didn't go after him. Could have been somebody else.
It might be Amari Cooper this year. People keep forgetting about him. We'll see where that goes, but
I don't think he has enough left in the tank, but that's me personally.
yeah.
The Chiefs. Trust me, I will get to them when we get to the schedule. I hate some parts of the schedule for the Chiefs.
I've been hearing this one all week.
Yes, it is. I give them an A- for the draft. Okay. They did address the defense a lot. You know, they got like 5 defensive players. They got a wide receiver, they got a running back, they got an offensive line. Against the Eagles in that Super Bowl, everything went wrong. It wasn't just the Chiefs flopped. The defense looked out of sorts. The offense couldn't produce anything. They got outplayed.
Yeah.
I don't think this draft is going to help them with that at all.
Yeah, the offensive line, they only drafted 1 lineman, and they lost their best. I can't remember his name. They lost their best one in free agency. So, trade to the Patriots, maybe.
Yeah, the NFL will just keep profiting off the Chiefs, and nothing will be done about it. The Eagles, I give them an A-. I love their round 1 pick, Jihad Campbell, linebacker.
Yeah. I cannot believe he fell to pick 31.
I
That's
think
just crazy.
This was great value for a great pick.
Yeah.
Like, the NFL screwed up. Like, the other team screwed up by not picking him. So I love this pick. Later down the line, they got a couple of linebackers. They again went fully defensive focused until the second half, where they actually went out for like some offensive linemen.
Which is good. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay, so.
Yeah, I love this. I think the Eagles will be in another position to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now for the schedule release. So the schedule was released a few weeks back. Few days ago. I don't know what I'm saying. We'll start out with the Bills. Our prediction, come on, they're in the AFC East. 12-5.
12-5, yeah. Or 13-4, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. They will come for to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Jets. They're not going to be able to go, like, to the playoffs. I also don't think they're going to be, like, bottom half the league.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be in that, like, 7-10, 8-9, maybe 9-8 region, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I think this is what the Jets are going to be. The Patriots. Yes, they addressed their holes. Yes, they did all that. 6-11, 7-10, 8-9.
Nah. I think they at least have to have a winning record this year. Their line has gotten a lot better. Drake May is going to have much more protection. I think the only thing holding them back will be lack of receivers. But they also got Stephon Diggs, so I mean, it could be like a 9-8, 8-9 range. I think that might be a little bit optimistic, but I could see that happening.
The Dolphins. You said the Dolphins will succeed. I agree with you. 4-13.
Yeah, I think that's very realistic.
4-13 or 5-12.
Yeah, their entire receiver room is just falling off.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill, I don't think he's going to do well. To be honest, I don't think his outside issues are going to translate well.
Yeah.
Baltimore. 10-6, 11-6.
I mean, they have a tough schedule. It's not a problem with their team. They have a really tough schedule. I think that's
10-7, 11-6. If they get lucky and they win a few more, it's 12-5.
Yeah.
I think just because of how tough their schedule is. Yeah. Pittsburgh.
I mean, it's the Steelers. What do you expect?
Of course, I'm saying 9-8. Sorry, if you legitimately thought I was saying anything else before 9-8, you're right. 9-8. Moving on. The Bengals. Even though they addressed the defense, I still don't think they're going to be able to succeed this year. I think they need more. They need more. They need a better head coach is what I'm trying to get to. I don't think Zach Taylor's cutting it. As a result, I had them going 8-9.
Yeah, they have the offensive talent there. Yeah, but definitely coaching is going to be what holds them back.
The Browns. Just given how terrible their QB room is. I have them going like the Dolphins in that 4-13, 5-12, 3-14 range.
I could very realistically see their quarterback starting position change like 4, maybe even 5 times this
They're
year.
going to be the Colts they're going to be the Colts of last season this season.
On steroids, yeah.
On steroids. The Texans, 10-7. They're going to win their division because their division is absolute buns. But yeah, 10-7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their defense has gotten a lot better too.
The Colts. They have a new secondary. They don't have a pass catcher. That's the glaring Colts. So 7-10 or 8-9.
I think even worse than that, just because of the quarterback position is still unclear. I think if they just go out right out, start Daniel Jones, it could be better. But
the Titans. I think the Titans. They're not going to have an upgrade. Okay, they're not going to be better than last year. They're going to be worse.
Yeah, don't expect them to be good right off the bat. Cam Ward is going to take time.
3-14, 4-13.
Yeah.
I think somewhere in that area. The London Jaguars. That's right. They're playing in London again.
We're not calling them Jacksonville anymore.
Therefore, they are now the London Jaguars. I have them going like 5-12, 6-11, 7-10 in that area.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance to succeed, but they have to stay healthy. And by succeed, I mean not be like bottom 5 teams, but also not be like playoff contenders.
Their coaching situation is still kind of uncertain as well. I just don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah. The Golden Boys of the NFL, the Chiefs, I would say 17-0. But
16-1. You know they got to throw the last game of the year to keep the Bengals out of the playoffs.
Yeah. I think 13-4, 14-3 in that area. They're going to be up there again.
Yeah.
We're all going to hate it. Promise. If they make the Super Bowl again, I will burn down somebody's house, namely probably my own. Don't hold me to that, of course. But yeah, they're the Golden Boys. It doesn't matter.
As long as Travis Kelce's still playing and earning them money.
Yeah. The Chargers. Yeah. It's kind of weird for the Chargers because it's like if their defense pans out, it might be like a great season, 11-6, 10-7.
And if Justin Herbert like regains the insane accuracy he had at the regular season last year.
If it doesn't pan out, then it's going to be like a 7-10 season.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it really works. It's just based off defensive panability, basically. The Broncos, they revamped themselves, but offensively, I still think there's a hole. I don't think they've addressed that hole at all.
Right.
And that's the wide receiver situation.
Oh, that too. I completely forgot that they got
They didn't get really like star wide receivers. They had star wide receivers. I mean, they drafted Marvin Jones Jr. last year. He kind of panned out. I think it really depends on the wide receivers' like progress ability for us to actually say anything substantive about the Broncos. As a result, I have them for right now going between the 7-10 and 9-8 range. Should the wide receivers pan out? If they don't pan out, that range is not possible. I don't think it will be lower, like 5-12, 4-13 in that area.
Yeah.
The Raiders. Defensively, I think Pete Carroll can bring them up to speed.
Yeah.
Offensively, they have a decent offense. Okay, they got Ashton Genty, they got that wide receiver, they got the QBs, they got it. I think this might be a season where they're either A, barely squeaking into the playoffs, or B, barely not getting into the playoffs.
I don't think they get in. Their division, really just the AFC in general, is really competitive right now. I don't see them making it, but I think they're getting there. They're definitely getting there.
So 7-10 to 9-8 range probably.
Yeah.
The NFC East, defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Their schedule is kind of like on the verge of being a difficult schedule, so
I think it is. They faced all 4 playoff teams they beat last year.
Yeah.
Green Bay, Rams, Chiefs, and the Commanders. Plus Buffalo. That's 5 playoff teams. I don't think they're going to win all of them.
Yeah. I think they can win most of them. Their defense is looking really good and young
I think
still.
11-6, 12-5.
Yeah.
12-5, I mean. Commanders, my sneak pick for the Super Bowl. 10-7, 11-6, 1-2. Cowboys, 0-16.
That's not fair. That is not fair.
They're gonna have the season like last year again, 5-12, 11, yeah, somewhere in that area.
I mean, it really depends on if Dak Prescott regains like his young self. But
I don't care if he does or not. Until they fix the running back situation and until their defense gains morale, I think they're gonna be stuck in that area.
They also have Brian Schottenheimer as their coach, so
They also have Jerry Jones, their GM. So, the Giants. Good news, they're better than last year. Bad news, they've got the toughest strength of schedule. So much for that draft. Yeah, they might go like 6-11, 5-12, 4-13, somewhere in that area.
yeah, I think you just give Jackson Dart starting experience here and there and hope for the best.
The Lions, the fraud, they're going to make the playoffs again at 10-7 or 11-6, unfortunately. But they will still lose first round, I promise. Jared Goff is a fraud, I promise. They're not making the Super Bowl, I promise. Aiden Hutchinson will come back. He will not be of any use, though, I promise. So 10-7, 11-6. Moving on, the Minnesota Vikings. They will go 10-7, I think.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit more generous. I'd say like 11-6, 12-5 is more realistic, but we also haven't seen a lot from JJ McCarthy, so I don't know if I can say that confidently.
Yeah, I think at the end it depends on JJ McCarthy's development so far.
Yeah.
He did tear his MCL last year. That might play a little bit of a role into it. But I do think anywhere from 9-8, they will have a winning record. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think they will have a winning record. The Packers. Yeah, this NFC West is just, or not West, I mean East, right? Is it
North.
East or North? Oh, my bad. North. My bad. The North. It's just Lions, Vikings, Packers, and then the Bears.
And then the
They
Bears.
all could be like.
We all have the potential to be insane teams,
They're just in the
but
wrong
we're
division.
just not.
They're just in the wrong division. Any other division, these guys would be like number 1 all the time.
Yeah.
The Packers, kind of like the Vikings again, 10-7 in that area.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most evenly matched division in the league this year.
It was last year, basically, except for the Bears.
Except for the Bears, and now the Bears actually are looking decent.
Yeah.
So
The Bears. They're either going to be right on the cusp of having a winning season or right on the cusp of not having a winning season.
yeah,
It's just, they're in the middle and it's like a seesaw. Which way is it going to teeter-totter? The NFC South. Of course, again, we're calling the Bucs to win it. I think that should be no surprise.
yeah,
10-7, 11-6, 1-2.
yeah. I think that's relatively realistic because their defense is better than last year's. So I think they're going to be in roughly the same spot,
Yeah.
a little bit, like slightly.
The Falcons, again, probably in the 5-12 to like 8-9 range. It's kind of a bigger range for them because it just depends on how does that secondary pan out. Because offensively, we already know what they have. Defensively, it's a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. I have faith in Dave Canales. I will say that. So again, I think they will be in the same range as the Falcons. 5-12 to 8-9.
I think they're more likely to have a winning record than the Falcons, just because they're like on the rise. The Falcons are kind of more on the decline, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
The Saints. R.I.P.
Yeah.
They're going like 4-13, 3-14.
I mean, they had like a decent plan set up, and then Derek Carr just was like, "Yeah, I'm retiring," so
Yeah.
they're not gonna go anywhere.
The NFC West. The Los Angeles Rams. So, there's 9 road games this season. Only 2 against teams that reached the postseason last year. If Stafford and Nakua can stay healthy. Okay? We also have Devontae offensively. Plus, our defensive line is only going to get better. I would say we can go anywhere from 10-7 to 13-4.
Yeah, I think that's definitely realistic. You guys are looking strong.
The 49ers. Yeah. They have the easiest schedule this season, without a doubt.
And their defense is actually like good again. So
Yeah, but there's a slight issue here. It all depends on can the offense stay healthy.
Mhm.
If so, 10-7. If not, 5-12.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
The Seahawks. Yeah, they went 10-7 last year. They got Sam Darnold. They got Cooper Kupp. But really,
I mean, they improved their line, but in terms of like being able to avoid sacks, they downgraded a quarterback. So, and that was already kind of a problem last year. So
this is going to be another evenly matched division, just not as good as the NFC North. We're saying anywhere from 8-9 to 10-7. The Cardinals, they're going to be the worst in the division, probably. Okay. It all depends on Kyler Murray. Everything.
yeah,
If he runs the ship well, it will be a good season. If not, it will be a bad season. As a result, it's, again, they could be at like 9-8, 10-7, or they could be at like 6-11. It's anywhere in that area. But yeah, those are all the teams. Our schedule predictions. Week 3, this is a specific week I'm pointing out.
here we go.
Chiefs Giants play on Sunday night primetime.
Chiefs Giants. Imagine how exciting that game's gonna be.
The Rams Eagles play at 1 o'clock. The Rams Eagles, the only team that was even close to beating the Philadelphia Eagles was the Rams. That's in the snow, and they put us at 1 o'clock. 1 flippin' o'clock.
That's criminal.
Yeah, no. The NFL is favoring the Chiefs, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
And I'm mad. But on that note, we'll see you all next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Offside Opinions Pod.